Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be covering a Tilton pedal assembly install in this Mark I Ford Escort. So for today, we're going to do the pedals, and it sounds like it could be complicated or hard, but it's really pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of, when you do something like this, you can't think of all of the things that aren't going to work. You focus on how to mount it the simplest ways. So yeah, let's get right to it. All right, so this is the cockpit of this beast, and absolutely awesome little cockpit. I'm a 6'3" tall guy, and I can still fit in here without having too much of an issue, but I like small cars anyway. So this is the AIM digital display that we installed in this car. Getting this display to communicate with the Bosch operating system was definitely more than a headache, but we got it to work. The only issue that we're still kind of working on is getting the fuel level sender to work, but as far as how fast you're going, what the engine RPM is, how much oil pressure it has, all works correctly. Something else we did for the customer was calibrate the gear selector or the gear position readout. We did it using drive shaft speed and engine RPM, and knowing the ratios of the transmission, we're able to get the dash to show us what gear we're in without actually having a sensor on the shifter itself. We've got the Hoonigan hydraulic handbrake assembly that was debuted from Chase Bays. We're running an inline setup on this because we didn't want to run dual calipers on the rear axle. This isn't the best way to do this, or at least in my opinion, but this simplifies the rear braking system. The only problem that this type of setup has is called kickback. It's the amount of fluid that the inline master pushes back into the braking master. Now, since we're running an individual master pedal assembly, it's only kicking back fluid into one of the masters, the rear, which isn't the main one you're surviving on. Like, if anything fails, it would be the rear. You would want the rear to fail and not the front, because if you only had rear brakes, well, it'd be like you had only your handbrake to stop. When we had finished doing the engine swap the first time, the owner had the interior upholstered, and since we keep changing the pedal assembly, I keep cutting the hole in the driver's side carpet bigger and bigger. So here we got the old pedal setup that was in the car and the new setup that's going to go in the car. Now, right off, you think I'll have them sitting backwards to each other, but the old setup, the masters were sitting behind the pedals, and the new setup, the masters are going to be underneath your feet. This setup worked. It was from a company called Burton Power. They've got a lot of stuff for these Escorts, but we believe this setup was made for the right-hand drive version of this car because it didn't really fit and it needed a little bit of modification to get it to work appropriately and not bind in certain ways. So we're not going to use that. Goodbye. Now we're finally going to the Tilton setup, definitely by far the most expensive. We already have the pedal assembly roughly assembled how we think it's going to work, as far as like pedal height and offset and leverage ratio and how the throttle pedal works with the bell crank assembly so it can pull the cable. I still have to make how the cable attaches. The brake pedal and the gas pedal are spread apart so they clear the steering column because the column is going through this zone. We're going to have to do a couple small modifications to the fittings on the Tilton setup to get it to work. The pressure out on these masters is meant for a -3 AN fitting. We're going to be using banjo, and the banjo bolts are a little bit too long, so we're going to be machining them down. So with the throttle clevis, I'm trying to get the correct angle and location of where the cable mount is supposed to be in orientation of these two attachment points. So I'm going to draw in CAD a bracket. Some call it cardboard aided design. I'm going to actually be computer aided design and draw this bracket in AutoCAD so that I can cut it out and it'll work the first time, hopefully, and make this mechanism function like it's supposed to, so no, there's no binding. But I'll probably try like 2 or 3 times before it's right. The next problem we have is these masters are meant for a 3AN fitting, and so the 3AN fitting is just supposed to seat in that hole. Well, 3AN fitting uses a fine thread 3/8 thread, so we're going to use banjos because of clearancing. The only thing is, see the thread protruding past that banjo? It bottoms out in the master before it tightens the banjo. So I gotta cut all 3 of these nuts. These guys right here, I gotta cut probably about 1/4 inch of threads off, and then they'll all go on. So yeah, we're taking it out for its first test drive to see how it feels, and yeah, so far it feels great. The pedals are adequate space apart so that I don't accidentally press the gas and the brake at the same time. Feels like I was a cop back then. Can't do anything stupid. Oh, I love turbo noises. All right, so now you've seen what we've done on this Escort so far. Let us know what you think in the comments. That's only one step of the build that we've attacked. Next step is going to be a complete custom column that'll be in another episode. As far as this goes with the brakes, it's 100%. We like to drive over here. We're going to drive it back, and we'll probably change the pedal height according to where they sit statically. Otherwise, they need to go a little farther away. But other than that, we got it right on. Like my favorite channel, Bad Obsession Motorsports, this has what's called a safety turbo, just so you're safe and you can get out of the way. For the record, this is the same Escort that was featured in the Fast and the Furious movie. They showed the blue one that's jumping over the center divide. Oh man, that just, you cry a little bit when you see that, because there's not very many of these around. All right, so as cool as lithium-ion batteries are, they tend to explode, like this Braille lithium-ion battery. Great battery, but this is the second time I've had one of these batteries explode. We're driving back, I noticed we lost voltage, car started filling with smoke, and well, stopped, and luckily we're able to get the battery terminals unscrewed and get it out of the car so no further damage happened to the car. It's gonna blow! Yeah, well, in all seriousness, I'm glad it's doing it over there.